So Craig Button put out his post-lottery mock draft, and he had the Ottawa Senators selecting at 7th overall, drum roll please, Cutter Gauthier from the U.S. National Team Development Program. Now, Cutter Gauthier is heading to Boston College next year. He's a 6'3", 194-pound left winger, and he seems like a prototype Sens draft pick.
Oh, this guy just screams Sens draft pick. Like, first off, the USNTDP got it all out there in the proper order, I think. The Sens love dipping their toes in that water, as we know from previous drafts. Boston, he's going to school in the Boston area. Again, Brady, Tyler Boucher, Colin White, a lot of guys from that spot. And he's got size, and he's got a big shot. So I really think this is someone that the Senators are going to be looking at, and I think there's a lot of upside to a guy like Cutter Gauthier.
What do you think his most projectable tool is to get to the NHL?
Got to be the shot. And you're going to see probably a little bit of a pattern today with guys' best tool, but it's his shot for sure. I mean, 34 goals in 54 games is absolutely incredible. And as the quote here we have on YouTube says, I'll read it out for the audio people, actually. This is a scout quote from EP.
That's nice of you.
Yes. I'm looking out for the audio people in your car, so don't smash your steering wheel just quite yet. Big, strong forward, skates very well and has a hard shot. He's going to play in the NHL. It's just a question of how high up in the lineup and how much of his scoring will translate to the NHL. So pretty confident words there. And the big thing is that hard shot. And when you say hard shot, I like to think of guys like Igor Sokolov. That's a guy with a hard shot. He's able to put a lot of oomph into a wrist shot or a slap shot. Maybe he doesn't have the quickest release or best accuracy, but if he gets time and space, he's going to have power behind it, and that's going to make it hard for other teams to get in the shooting lanes, for goalies to be able to stop it even if they're in position. So Cutter Gauthier for me is someone I'm very interested in, and to have a guy with this kind of size, and from everything that I've seen and read, even though he's so big, it doesn't slow him down. Like, I think his skating for a guy at that size is still pretty good. So I'm very interested in him.
He had a great tournament at the under 18s, 9 points in 6 games playing with Team USA, Warren A. So you can point to a little bit of leadership for him as well. He's got an interesting backstory as well.
Very interesting.
He was actually born in Skellefteå in Sweden while his dad, goalie friendly show, was finishing out his pro career that saw him play a little bit in the East Coast League, a little bit in the American Hockey League. His dad's actually from Sudbury, but then when they came back, they moved to Michigan. He grew up playing for Honey Baked, one of the premier minor hockey teams there. And if you're watching on YouTube again, another reason to do this, now that I've figured out the old screen sharing thing, we can look at his statistical profile over the years. Now, what I'm seeing here is a guy that puts up goals year in and year out. And clearly his shot has something to do about that. Even with the U.S. under 17 team, 20 goals in 44 games, and then playing up a level with the USHL down. When you're the younger time, it's playing up. When you're the older, it's kind of playing down. 21 points in 32 games. So this is a guy where I think some scouts will look at it and be like, oh, this is classic Sens reaching a little bit here, trying to get this big body player. Oh, they're trying to just be physical. But this guy is so much more than that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pulled this up, because look at go back down there, Ross.
Yeah.
Look at every single year from 2018 forward. He scores more goals than assists every single year at every single level. What are the Sens looking for? A top 6 forward that can score goals, playing alongside Tim Stützle and Drake Batherson. This seems like your guy.
Does it not kind of seem like he's who the Sens thought Tyler Boucher was?
A little bit, yeah. I think the Sens, I mean, we can go back to our prospect profiles and all the chatter about Tyler Boucher. Tyler Boucher's number one attribute was not his shot, though. He was the most physical player in the draft, and DJ Smith, Brady Tkachuk, they value that, and that was a big reason why Tyler Boucher was brought in.
So this is one of your classic late risers, and maybe not late, there's still months before the draft, but going into last season, he was like a late first round pick. I mean, we saw this with Jake Sanderson, so don't put your nose up to it. The fact that late risers can continue to rise even after their draft. But Pilsy, look at the discrepancy where people have him ranked. We've got Craig Button at 7. As we mentioned, he even had them taking Cutter Gauthier in a mock draft as well. Sportsnet has him 11th. Recruit Scouting has him 12th. EP has him 14th. Bob McKenzie has him 13th. And then there's some scouting entities like Dauber Prospects is at 32, McKean's at 20, and they all have to update their rankings here going forward. But Pilsy, this would certainly fit the bill as a Senators pick that would not be without controversy.
It certainly would. And I mean, Tyler Boucher, we had him ranked, 44th overall in our ranking. So this wouldn't be as big of a reach as Boucher was. But again, I'll reiterate, the Senators are very focused on what they value in prospects, and they don't give a damn about what anyone else thinks. Like, go down the list. Any scouting agency, Central Scouting, any classic ranking system, they just throw those in the shredder, and they go with how they feel. They zig when other people zag. And you know what? I respect it. You got to stick to your guns, and you gotta go to sleep at night being like, we did what we thought was best for our organization, and in our thought process, you got to go with it. So I respect it.
The NHL Central Scouting North American skaters final rankings have Cutter Gauthier 3rd behind Shane Wright and Logan Cooley. Again, this is just for North American skaters.
There's so many international guys in this top 10.
But I think that your Scott Wheelers and that type of prospect analyst that really value these small players with quick hands would be like, what the hell are you doing having him above Matthew Savoy?
Yeah.
Who's a guy that we'll get to. We'll do the 2 Winnipeg guys together. But Pilsy, we've got a theme today. It's guys with absolute cannons for shots. And with Cutter Gauthier, we've spoken about how that's his number one attribute. He can also facilitate well. This is a guy who played off Logan Cooley throughout this season. They were teammates with the U.S. program, line mates. And I think that if you put him with a Tim Stützle, he's a guy who's going to find the back of the net very often. So Cutter Gauthier, I love what I'm seeing in the highlight reels. I actually kind of love the pushback that some of the scouting community will have on this pick. I love it. I'm a big Cutter Gauthier guy. Elite name, elite shot, and a guy who I think is going to find his way to the NHL a little quicker than most. I think he could be a 1 and done or a 2 and done. I'd probably lean 1, actually, especially when you look at, this is a great quote that we'll end off with Cutter Gauthier on. He was doing an interview with Russ Cohen, who works for Elite Prospects, also hosts the Locked On Flyers podcast. They were speaking together, and he said, man, Boston College, they've had a tough season. I can't wait to go in and change that next year. This guy has the world of confidence. You got to love that in a young prospect.
And Ross, hopefully we see a quote when he's done 1 year at Boston College saying, the Ottawa Senators, they've had a tough 5 years, and I'm hoping to change that.